to appreciate you guys being here. Just wrapping up our first practice back. Practice 4 winning spiders today, so we could use that padded practice later on and get them in the flow. But you know what? They came out and they competed, did a good job. And the goal for today was really playing harder, chasing the football, both sides of the ball security and ball disruption, getting back to mixed down football, and saving the situational stuff for as we get further along in the week. But a really productive day. Pleased with the effort, pleased with just the whole mentality, the attack, and there's a lot more to improve on, and the best part about it, guys are really committed to just putting in effort. And we're going to keep emphasizing effort because we have miles to go, but today was a good step in that direction.
Mario, you mentioned ball security. Cam Ward obviously fumbled a good amount when he was at Washington State. How much have you guys worked with him on that? I know Shane talked about it a little bit last week, but how much have you guys worked with him on that?
Well, a lot, and you got to keep working it because it's got to become second nature. Playing with great effort's got to become second nature. Ball security's got to become second nature. Straining to finish plays, straining to get off of press coverage, straining to get to the quarterback, right, when those guys scramble, has to become second nature. And it's no different for the quarterback in ball security. So, and some of the, he's very analytical, he's very hard on himself, and Shannon Dawson is very tough on those quarterbacks also. So the combination of, some of the read option plays that require ball handling and making a decision, as well as, the pockets getting a little bit muddy and working ball security and at the same time elusiveness in those situations has been a big point of emphasis, and we're getting better.
And then we saw Robbie Washington working with the corners today. Is that like a temporary thing just for depth purposes? Is that a more permanent move that something needs to be working at more often? What's the plan with that?
Robbie's had a really good spring at wide receiver, and for us, this is a really good time to take certain guys and experiment and see if there's maybe opportunities for them. Maybe we can use your skill set to help the team in a certain way, and he's a team guy first. So it's something that we'll experiment throughout the course of spring football. He's just really good. He's a natural athlete. He does a lot of things, and anytime we can buy a guy reps, you saw guys stay at different positions, at tight end, at running back, at defensive end. We're going to keep doing it.
If we're going to talk to a few of the defensive linemen today, just what are your thoughts on that? Some of them are the deeper units on the team this year.
I think that Coach Taylor does a really good job pushing those guys. Coach Joe Salavea does a good job pushing those guys. Coach Strada is, working as a senior analyst, does a really good job in terms of just preparing these guys for good preparation, preparing these guys for good technical, fundamental work, and creating a mentality. And we're going to demand a lot of our defensive line. We've got to create an edge on our football team, and the edge starts up front. And it falls on us as coaches to do that. And both our offensive line and our defensive line has to play with more grit, more toughness, more physicality. We have to continue to improve. They're committed to improving, so it's not like, it's not one of those situations where, hey man, we're hoping that we can get better. We are getting better, but it's never enough at that position, right? You watch all these games that come down to the final possession, final quarter. Typically those positions, they make a play. So, but they've done so far. They've done what we have asked of them, and now we're asking them to ask of themselves and demand of themselves. And we'll hopefully see that transition.
Didn't see him out here. What did you say about that situation? How are the other guys in that room doing this week? Particularly Monte Citizen
Yeah, well, it's always been a very competitive room. We start a lot of guys. Henry will not be with the program anymore. Okay, he'll go in the portal, and look, we wish him the best. It's best for him, and it's best for the University of Miami for him to move on. And he's, again, thankful for his contribution here, and wish him the very, very best. Tremonte certainly is a guy that is getting better coming off a major injury. Chris Johnson's had a great spring. A.J. Allen is on the mend. He'll be back. Chris Wheatley-Humphrey looks really good. And, we signed a guy who's a top back in the country on paper, but he was, a guy that was on our board as a top back in the country as well. And he has run a system that's similar to ours. So we feel really good about the competitive nature of that room, the caliber of coaching that they're getting, and what we have going on this season.
How is Mark Fletcher with his recovery?
He's doing well. He's a big guy, Every time they get an apparatus on, they have to supersize it, make sure you get around it okay. But Mark's itching, chomping at the bit to get out there again. And we expect him back, I'd say probably 2 months, 2.5 months. And we expect him to be full speed by early summer.
Mario, going back to the defensive line, we saw Mesidor at least do some things out here. How good is that to see him? And if you could just speak on his impact when he is fully healthy, what he brings to the team.
Well, he's one of the higher level players, not only in our conference, but in the country. I think when you combine guys like that and Ruben Bain, I mean, we were so productive when those guys were in there together, along with Nigel Lee Kelly. We had Elijah Alston as an upperclassman, and now these young guys are running behind them. When you have a healthy Mesidor and a guy like Ruben on the other side, and Elijah, and like a guy, Jalen Wayne, all these guys are developing, you have, I would say, very impactful and powerful edges. You can set edges, you can rush the passer, you can be very multiple because those guys are thick enough, being 280 and 285, to do some stuff inside and not only on third down, but they are outside players. So it's to have him out there, to see him healthy, doing what he's doing, it's everybody's really excited about that.
Mario, how much do you plan on focusing on that position in the transfer portal?
Well, in the portal, when that thing opens up again, we'll be focusing on everything. You know, we feel like we've really, over the last 2 years, just enhanced our team, the caliber of player, the caliber of competitor and mentality, the guys that we have brought in. And I think there's going to be opportunity to bring in a good handful of guys and maybe more at different positions. So I think as you assess spring and go a little bit further into it, we'll have a better idea of what we go after. But we're very open-minded and we're going to be very aggressive as to, you know, making sure that our roster, you got to get at some point to 85. I know it's always a question that, you know, thankfully you guys haven't asked, but you always find a way to get there, and you make sure that everyone involved is always given the best opportunity, but you do what's best for the University of Miami. That's the bottom line. And we're going to do that.
Also, a few more questions. Planning to have a scrimmage Saturday.
We won't scrimmage on Saturday. We will have some live tackling on Saturday, but it won't be a full scrimmage. Our full scrimmage will be the following couple of weeks, okay? But we'll be in full pads on Thursday. To start getting acclimated more to tackling, we'll probably have a period. And then on Saturday, we'll have a couple of periods of tackling, but it'll be maybe 30-some odd plays of practice.
I don't think I saw Ruben Bain out there much. Is there an update there?
Yeah, he's good. He's a little bit banged up, so we don't have to practice.
And Mario, with people out for spring, Corey Black transferring, KJ going pro, how big deal are the linebackers, especially Raul, Malik, so on and so forth, kind of stepped up and, you know, taking advantage of that, like, that chance to play in spring?
You know, they've stepped up like guys that have been preparing this whole time. They have their students of the game. I think that Wesley has done a great job in terms of leadership. I think Popo has done a really good job, even from the moment he got here, of learning the system and really just sticking by Coach Nicholson at every waking moment. Seeing Chase Smith get healthy is a huge boon for us as well. I think Cam Pruitt's going to be a spectacular player, and he really is. You know, Darius Hayes got banged up. You know, he pulled his hand in soft tissue stuff, so he did some stuff today. He should be back by Thursday or Saturday. Who else am I missing on here? Pulliam's done a nice job. Caleb Spencer is kind of bouncing back and forth. He's playing some of the safety stuff and playing some of the will linebacker stuff as well. And then Bobby Washington, just a great skill set, you know, and learning the Sam position and doing a lot of special teams work.
You mentioned full pads come on Thursday. That time when full pads come on, how much can that be a separator in position battles?
Oh, yeah. It's got to be, but the separator's got to continue. You know, we told our players we're not going to ease in the spring. We've got to use spring to gain an edge and create an identity for ourselves, right? And practicing hard and practicing fast and practicing smart will translate into playing hard, smart, and fast. So it's got to become second nature to us. All the things we mentioned earlier have got to become second nature, so they are points of emphasis. And Thursday being in full pads, I mean, we're putting them on for a reason, right? We've got to play physical, hard-nosed football, and we'll get some more numbers.
Thank you, Coach.